joining us now is Amanda Chase. She is a state senator from Virginia, Republican. From the Chesterfield area, she is also a Republican candidate for governor in 2021. She's already announced. She had a great video that I just saw that came out last evening. You can find that on her Facebook page. Amanda, great to have you with us.
Well, good morning, John. It's good to be with you this morning, and we have a lot to talk about this morning, don't we?
Let's get right to it because I'm really fired up today, Amanda. I spent the night yesterday talking to small business owners in Virginia. I had two men on, grown men and one woman, all of them crying over the phone. I mean, crying. These are adults in their 60s and 50s losing their entire livelihood, seeing it go out from under them in 3 weeks. You look at the numbers in Virginia. When you take out one nursing home in Canterbury, it's 1,000% of Virginians have died from this virus. 1,000% 8.5 million people, 109 people have died if you take out one nursing home, Canterbury. And then they said they don't want our healthcare system to be overrun. We have 5,800 COVID beds, 900 of them occupied. We've got 5,000 beds open. Now he's got an announcement today at 2 o'clock. What is he going to say, Amanda?
Well, I will tell you what I believe wholeheartedly that he is going to say. You know, we had Executive Order 53, which was put out. It was put out on March the 13th. And what this order did is it closed down all the dining and congregation areas and restaurants, dining establishments, food courts, distilleries, wineries, until April 23rd, 2020. And so that is where he is right now. And my initial guess is that he was going to align that executive order with the next executive order, number 55, which he issued on March 23rd, that extended all the way into June 10th. And so I initially thought that he was going to align those two executive orders. But after I had a conference call on Monday with the governor's administration, and they told us in that meeting that they had met with the press, not legislators, but with the press only, and allowed them to meet with their UVA researchers, quote unquote, about this new plan that Governor Northam and his administration has concocted. Okay? I don't know who these researchers are from UVA, but this is a new one on me. And now we come out yesterday, front page of the Richmond Times-Dispatch, saying the virus may peak in Virginia in August. You know, that is the first time any of us have heard that. You know, first he was saying it's going to be June, when everybody else, including here in Virginia, they were saying April 29th. The governor was saying, the President Trump and his healthcare experts were saying the peak would be at the end of April. And even Governor Northam corrected some of his earlier statements. Remember, he was going back and saying it wasn't going to peak until sometime in June, and then he pulled back and said the end of April. And now he's all over the place. Now he's going back to August. What is going on here? Let me tell you what I feel like is going on here. You know, I don't trust the new majority. I really don't. If you take a look, and I know, John, you've done a great job covering what is going on here in our country. Well, we have basically one thing going on. This is socialism versus prosperity. And this new majority was overtaken by those who want to advance the socialist agenda and the Democratic Party. So they have weaponized the coronavirus and made it a political deal. This should have nothing to do with politics, but it has. And this governor and this new majority has made it that. And let's just go back to the first deadline that they picked, June 10th. We called them out on it. We said, we know that primaries are on June the 9th. And, okay, yes, there are some Democratic primaries, but the majority of the contested ones are on the Republican side. We have conventions. I believe wholeheartedly, that the reason that his administration and his political people in charge of his operation picked June 10th to disenfranchise Republican voters, because that's when our big races are. We have conventions for the 7th District, Congressional District, and so forth. Now, and I was listening on your radio show, and I was like, well, why is he saying August? He is just, the governor on Monday gave his liberal talking points to the media so they could get out ahead of him with this information and put it out so that you all would be primed for his big announcement today. Out in the paper today, it says, like I was telling you yesterday, on the front page of the RTD, where the press is going out to the public and saying now the peak is going to be August. Well, the only healthcare professionals and experts that are saying that are this select group that Governor Northam has chosen, the UVA researchers, which are here in Virginia. And so he is priming us for the big announcement today. I now believe that he is going to announce today an extension that's going to be into August, maybe even later, which I'm telling you, the people are going to rise up. They are not going to tolerate. They're going to do like North Carolina. They're going to get in their cars. They're going to honk around the Capitol nonstop, 24/7, until this governor gets in line with what the rest of the country is doing.
I want you to lead this. I want you to lead this effort. We're powerless to do anything because Virginians don't want to break executive orders or laws. It's not in our nature to do this. So we want to abide by what the governor's saying. That's what we've attempted to do, and I think Virginia's been one of the better compliant states trying to do what the governor said. But if he comes out today and shuts things down till August, that means there's no high school football. We don't go back to school to when? January or October. There's no baseball, there's no football, there's no minor league teams. There's nothing. There's no restaurants open. He will eviscerate every small business in Virginia today at 2 p.m. if he does that. They're all gone, every single one of them, right? Along with families. Meantime, alcohol is up, drug addictions are up, families are splitting up. You've got violence going on, domestic violence. You got suicide all over the United States. All these things are happening, and you're saying to me that based on some study that he is going to keep Virginia locked down the entire summer, which then wipes out every shop in Virginia Beach, every shop in Stanston, any tourist area, hypes out Williamsburg. This is insane, Amanda.
Well, let's look at the facts here from the Virginia Department of Health. And just before I hopped on the phone here, I went to their website. We have in Virginia a total of 154 deaths, 978 hospitalizations, and 6,171 total cases. The solution here is far worse than the issue that we have with coronavirus. We are not only devastating Virginia's economies, we're going to see more suicides, domestic violence cases. If you don't have a job, it affects your health. There are so many business owners that I'm talking to. I was on the phone with Tom Leonard the other day, who's a dear friend of mine who owns a grocery store here in Henrico. And he's telling me he has a lot of friends who also are small business areas in the Richmond area. He said, Amanda, we're terrified. There are many of us who have seasonal inventories that are back in the winter. If he even lifts this order in June, they've got winter inventory. What are they supposed to do with that? Liquidate it at half cost? And if you stop and restart a business, you're talking about having to go through the rehiring process with people. You're talking about all the initial outlay that businesses have to put out. And then I would also add these big loans that were supposed to be available through the SBA. Who's seen a dime of that? I'm on the phone day in and day out helping small business owners to file and giving them instructions on how to file for this federal help through the CARES Act. And the money hasn't shown up yet. I have someone on my own staff who owns a small business, owns a gym. Those were completely shut down, completely devastated.
Oh, there's devastated. And now,
on
what authority does this governor now, if he gets on at 2 o'clock today and shuts the state down till August, based on somebody's study in UVA? By the way, all those people get paid no matter what happens, right? So they're fine. On what authority does he have to do this?
Well, what he has done in these executive orders is he has quoted, he says his authority is Article 5, Section 7 of the Constitution of Virginia by 44-146.17 of the Code of Virginia. That's where he is deriving his authority on these executive orders. And listen, he's not up for re-election. He doesn't seem to care or understand the whole picture about business. We have to take a holistic approach. We can't just have a healthcare provider look at this and say, I'm scared, let's shut down everything and everybody hide in their houses. That doesn't work. We also have to look at the economic side. We're not saying that every life matters, but every life matters. And because every life matters, we have to open up business again. Now, do we do so all at once? No, we have to do so gradually. I think you'll see hospitality industries probably open a little bit later than some of the other more critical industries. But we have to figure this out. We cannot completely shut down Virginia. We have to be smart about. We have to take into account what the national, federal healthcare experts are saying. And do we implement social distancing? Absolutely.
Okay, so he's going to shut the state down. We're with Amanda Chase, Republican State Senator, Chesterfield, also Republican candidate for governor 2021. He's going to shut the state down through August. I think you're spot on. Let me just read a couple texts here from questions from some of our listeners. Let's see. Barry says, John, you and Amanda are so right about this whole fiasco. Here's an idea. What if all small businesses band together and just open up and the people will come? What is the government going to do? Arrest thousands of people? On what authority does Governor something, I'm not going to say the name here, have to do this? My question is, what authority does Northam have to destroy millions of people's lives? On what authority?
Well, he's basing it on that Article 5 of the Constitution. But here's something I want to point out. June 26th and 27th, the Jack Wilson, chairman of the Republican Party of Virginia, just announced the Republican convention is June 26th and 27th. Now I'm like, okay, he's going to change it till sometime after then now. It's just ridiculous what is going on. This governor has not taken into account the whole situation, people's financial situation. If people are out in the streets and they're homeless because they are small business owners, they cannot provide for their families now. I'm talking to people nonstop, day and night, on social media and otherwise, saying, I can't get unemployment. Every time I go to file for unemployment, the system crashes. The Department of Employment Commission has upgraded their system 9 different times because it cannot handle the load. The problem is still there. People aren't getting the money they need. They're going to be on the streets if this governor doesn't realize the devastating effects on people's health, not only their mental health but their physical health, because they don't have a job and they don't have a way to provide for their family.
What are we going to do about it?
It's hurting us. Well, I think the people are going to rise up. I mean, the people are going to rise up. I'm telling you.
Define rise up.
Well, I think people will look for a peaceful way to do that. Look at what North Carolina is doing. They have a grassroots effort in place right now. They are driving in their cars around the Capitol nonstop, honking their horns. You got to think creatively here. People, of course, are reaching out, calling the governor's office. There are ideas like we're going to pick a date and we're just going to reopen business. I'm a law-abiding citizen, and everybody else wants to abide by the rules and the laws. But the people are going to rise up. They're going to just say, forget it. I am not doing this anymore. I will do everything I can to protect myself by wearing a mask. I'll do my best to observe the social distancing, but I'm opening my businesses. You're going to see businesses after June 10, maybe even before. They're going to open their business. They're not going to wait for government. They're going
I don't know how they can do that, Amanda, without some kind of a unified effort, because if you try to open your business, let's take, I don't know, you're in Chesterfield, You go downtown there. Let's go to, let's say, Chester, right? It's got a little downtown area. You got 5 businesses try to open. Police will come, put them in handcuffs, cart them away, and padlock the door and give them a fine. So nobody's going to do that. I mean, it sounds good in the radio, but that's not going to happen. The only way that would happen if 20,000 businesses opened at the same time on the same day, and that would take a massive effort. And it's not in the nature of people to break the law. See, that's what they're depending on. That's why they believe they can put these edicts out. You can't buy flowers. You can't plant a seed. You can't buy a flag. You can't visit your neighbor. And they're just pushing the American people to see how far they're going to go with it. And so far, they're going with it. So, I mean, it sounds good in the radio, but that is not going to happen.
Well, let me tell you what I'm doing.
Somebody's got to lead an effort. Maybe Amanda Chase leads an effort. Maybe you lead an effort.
As I mentioned in my video last night, I will lead the effort, and I have, and will continue to do so. What I'm waiting is for that 2 o'clock announcement. After that announcement, I have actually a phone call, a conference call with the White House. Once I get that information, I will be making an announcement of my own. We will be deciding, based on the governor's announcement today, what coordinated effort across the state we will put forth, whether it's a defiant order where across the state we agree that we as business owners will continue with the social distancing, continuing to make sure that the proper protections to protect the health and safety of the public are taken into account, but we'll reopen business on our own, the entire state of Virginia. And to your point,
if you're willing to lead, if you're willing to lead that effort, and you can get other elected officials to go with you on it, and you guys pick a date, and you get it out there, you might have an opportunity to do that. But somebody's got to lead this effort, and it's got to be an elected official. It just can't be some business owner in Richmond, because they'll end up with a huge fine, handcuffed, and thrown in prison. So, I mean, that's the way it is now. I want to take Steve from Midlothian is on the line. Steve, you're on with Senator Amanda Chase.
Yes, good morning. I just turned my radio down. I live in Culpeper, but I'm working in Midlothian. Okay. I have been working throughout all this stuff. Mm-hmm. I work construction, mm-hmm. and I work as telecommunications. So, in a little bit, you could probably call me essential because of the type of work that I do in construction. Mm-hmm. But I'm on a construction site down here. There's carpenters working. There's site work going on across the street here for the next section. We're building apartment buildings. I firmly believe that if Northam tries to get this back into the middle of summer or whenever, that you will see the small business owners start to band together and start, because it's ridiculous. I mean, I understand why it was done. There's got to be some point where the people say, okay, well, look, we did what you wanted to. Now it's time for us to go back to work.
Mm-hmm. That's right. I completely agree with you
on
Steve,
that. Thank you. Amanda, you want to respond to Steve? Steve, thank you.
I do. So, to your point, even President Trump issued a 15-day stay-at-home order in which the entire country was asked to stay at home for 15 days. Now, there's a beginning and an end. But see, with this governor, what we have is no end. And no end means no hope, no end result, no ability as a business owner to determine when we ramp things back up. People need an end date. And you can look at the data. It's clear as day what is going on. It's starting to level off in Virginia, and I truly believe that the end of April model is the correct model. I am looking at the Virginia Department of Health website and the numbers reported. We look to, John Fredericks, to your point, most of these occurrences are in our nursing homes. If people have comorbidities, if they have pre-existing conditions or they are considered a high-risk group, those folks should continue to stay home. Stay at home. Don't risk being out. But for those of us who are healthy individuals, we need to start up our economy so that the rest of society can have basic needs met. And if we continue down this spiraling path, and by the way, I would like to add that no other Southeast state is doing what we're doing. We're always way, way overreaching than any other state along the East Coast. Even New York, and they're the ones who've been hardest hit. They're looking at some point of looking to reopen. It just appears, John, that this governor is constantly looking for any excuse to keep our economy shut down. And enough is enough. And I'm telling you, a week from today, the General Assembly will reconvene, and I will be working with the Republican leadership to try to implement a deadline that is more reasonable and in line with the data from the Virginia Department of Health.
You get a date open. Let's call it a date open instead of a deadline. You get a date open. You get a couple of elected officials that have the same level of moxie that you have. You do a press release. I'll be right there. I'll do it live. I'll be right there with you. You get a date open. And I want to see how far this government is going to go in destroying people's lives. If we have a press conference in Richmond, and I'll be there, I'll be part of the conference, not covering, I'll be part of it. You get a date open and you get yourself and two or three other, that's all you need, two or three other elected officials and some business owners to say, we're done. This is our date open. And if, we can get 20,000 people behind it, it's over, right? They can't do anything. That's the resistance. We'll see how it goes. Meantime, Amanda Chase, I'm out of time. I want to thank you for being with us. If people want to get your Facebook video, where do they go?
So right now I have a Senator Amanda Chase Facebook page. That is the place to go. And we are releasing daily updates and information. I did a video last night. That's where they need to go. Just like my Senator Amanda Chase page.
Like the Senator Amanda Chase page. I'm going to do that right now. Senator, thanks for being with us.